What's up, everyone? Sam here from ByteByByte.com, and today I'm going to show you how to be productive while you're studying for your interviews. Alright, so studying for your interviews is something where you do really need to be productive. Because most people, unless you're really lucky, you're actually going to be studying for your interviews and preparing while you're working full time. So obviously you don't have a lot of extra time to spare, and you probably don't have a lot of energy either. I hear from a lot of people like, I'm coming home at the end of the day and I'm really tired and I'm not getting in any time to study. And so how can we work around this? How can we make sure that we're getting in that time to study consistently, we're being effective, and we're also not letting everything else in our life suffer as a result? So in this video, I want to tell you guys about 3 things that I personally do and that I recommend that other people do so that they can be more productive. And the first thing is I want to show you guys my notebook. I did this, and you can see basically what this is it's every day of the week and hourly, well, this side, hourly, how much energy I had throughout the day. And so I did this for a week, and what this accomplished was that it showed me when in the day I'm most productive. And that's incredibly important because you want to be working during your most productive time, or else you're going to be wasting a lot of time and you're not going to be as productive as you could be. So that's really important because by planning out and figuring out where you're going to have the most energy, you can then schedule your studying around that. And granted, I understand that not all jobs are super flexible, right? So you may, let's say that your highest energy time is 11 to 1 p.m. or something, you may be stuck at work. And so that's not gonna help you as much, but what you'll realize is that there are natural lulls throughout the day. So there are definitely times that you don't want to work. For me, that's when I get home from work at the end of the day. I'm just exhausted. Basically by 8 p.m. I'm ready to go to bed. And so I know that if I try and work after that time, it's not going to be effective, and there's really just not much point in me doing it. Because I'm going to put in all this effort and I'm just going to wear myself out even more without making much progress. So for me, what I find works best is that I work first thing when I wake up in the morning. I wake up at around 6 or 6:30 every day, and my goal is to start working by 7 a.m. And if I'm working from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., then that for me is a really good productive chunk of time that I can get a lot done. And even if you're studying for your interviews and you have to go to your real job, just spending an hour during that time, for me at least, would be a really productive way to spend my time. So that's number 1, figure out when your most productive time of the day is. The second thing is to plan out how you can do this consistently. A lot of people I hear are trying to do 5 hours of work on the weekend. So they'll do 1 day a week and they're like, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna spend the whole day studying. And that's just really not a good way to spend your time. Yes, it's a lot of hours per week that you can get in that way, but let's be realistic for a second. How much of that time, if you're trying to work straight for 5 hours, is actually going to be productive? How often are you going to goof off and you're going to go on Facebook, you're going to go on YouTube, you're going to do something that's distracting you rather than actually sitting down and really focusing? What I find works a lot better and also helps you to retain the information a lot better is to focus on doing a consistent amount of studying every single day. And this doesn't have to be a lot of studying. That's the thing, is people hear me say this and they're like, oh my God, I could never do that because I don't have 5 hours a day to spend studying. But that's not the point. The point is, even if you only have 30 minutes a day is 2.5 hours a week. And 2.5 hours a week is, what is that? That's 10 hours a month and so on and so forth. And if you plan ahead, and you want to plan ahead if you're doing this as a full-time employee because you're not going to have a ton of time to study. If you plan ahead, that's plenty of time for you to get prepared for your interviews. And every day you're going to be reinforcing that information. So you're going to be sure that you are going into your interview and you feel comfortable knowing that not only did I learn this that one time, but I've reinforced it continually so that now it's actually well ingrained. And that dovetails with the other thing that I say to people a lot, which is when they ask me how much they should be studying per day, the answer is as much as you can do consistently. A lot of people can do an hour a day. And especially if you wake up a little bit earlier in the morning and you study in the morning like I do, doing that hour a day is totally doable. And that's going to translate into a huge amount of studying over the course of time. So whether it's an hour or it's a half hour, or if you could do an hour and a half or 2 hours, it just determines the total length of time you're going to need to take. But having that consistency makes the biggest difference above basically everything else. And now the last thing that I want to mention to you guys, so that was finding the most productive time of day, planning to do as much as you can consistently on a daily basis. And the third thing that I want to mention to you guys is making a plan. And so again, in this same notebook, I like putting stuff in the notebook, but you can see I basically do a daily schedule. And so in this daily schedule, what I do is I basically break down, here are the main things that I wanted to accomplish today. I'll also say, what are my top 3 goals of the day? And then I make sure to work them into this. And then I create a schedule that I break it down on basically a half-hourly basis. And I go through and I schedule, what am I going to do? And so how does this pertain to your studying if you're really just doing this for an hour a day? Well, you need to break down what it is that you need to accomplish that day or that week or that month. And you start with the big picture. You start with the month, or you start even with the entire time span that you have to study. And then you break it down into smaller chunks until ultimately you know, okay, today this is exactly what I need to do. And by doing that, you're going to be much more productive because you're not going to spend all this time thinking about, well, what do I need to accomplish today? You're going to be much more focused on how can I do that one thing that I need to do. So those are my 3 tips for you. I also want to leave you with 2 book recommendations if you want to be more productive, both at work and in your studying. So the first one is a book by Cal Newport called Deep Work. And this is a great, great book. He talks about how to get really focused when you're working so that you're getting the most bang for your buck when you're actually sitting down and doing work. And he's also a computer science professor, so that's a kind of cool dovetail as well. And the other book I want to recommend is The Productivity Project, which I love this book in particular because it's a lot about self-experimentation, and he tries all of these different things to see what's going to make him the most productive. And so you can see all of his successful and failed experiments, like where one week he tried to work 60 hours or 80 hours a week and realized that that wasn't really any more productive than him working 20 hours a week. And it's really interesting to see the experiments that he does. So I definitely recommend checking out both of those books if you want to learn more. And that's all I got for you guys today. So if you haven't already, I recommend that you head over to my site and check out the free ebook on dynamic programming at dynamicprogrammingbook.com. And if you have not, please click subscribe below. And I will look forward to talking to you guys again soon.